我们在比赛前的准备主要是会去观看我们即将的比赛对手的录像，然后会做然后会做一些自身的调整，比如说在我们一些地图的某一些环节，我们会进行一些特别的调整。
So usually before the match, we just play training mode, 20 minutes to ready mode. Then if we're like there is a lot of more extra time in, we just go for a free for all together as a team to like warm up our gunfights.
Me personally, as an individual, I make sure to have 3 things. Number 1, it actually happens before the match starts. I make sure to have really good sleep, minimum 8 hours. Number 2, I always make sure to eat very good food. And number 3, I always make sure to take a nice cold shower because it helps me refresh.
我们队伍每天的训练时间会在至少10个小时，然后如果在比赛密集的时期的话，我们的训练时间还会增加。
As a team, we're working around the 8-hour to 9-hour mark on average. However, people individually do work both inside and outside the game by their own time.
We usually train about 4 to 6 hours a day.
I'm more like a chill guy, so I can work with the pressure without problems.
I remember that they're human too, and every emotion that I feel, they feel too.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. We're moments away from getting into our grand finals of the Call of Duty Mobile World Championship in 2025. This is what all of our teams have been fighting towards all year long, and it's time for us to start breaking it down just a little bit. I'm Glitter Explosion, and we have Ton, Infinity, and Proper here with us on the desk to do a little bit of analysis, because this is also technically a rematch of what we just saw a couple hours ago. But first of all, welcome back here, Tony. Excited for grand finals?
Very excited. I think not just a rematch of a game we just of a game we just seen before, a game that we seen in our grand finals last year.
A couple hours ago, and I figured who better to talk us through that than you, because you were there and casting it.
I guess I might as well relive this catastrophe. Let's go ahead and through the highlight package, right? The catastrophe, funnily enough, wasn't even in the highlight package. It was during the veto process. To pick Summit against Q9 is an egregious call, to say the least. Summit is the home away from home as far as Hardpoint is concerned for all Chinese teams. It doesn't matter if it's Q9, Wolves, or OUG, Summit is constantly being played. And then you go in towards the Coastal, which again, I could see how Elevate would want to try to pan this one out, but Q9, they lost the opening 3 rounds, and then they ripped 7 straight. Completely unheard of. Elevate couldn't even sniff the A-bomb site. And then we go in towards this crossfire control. This is where stuff absolutely hit the fan. We had so many different clutch opportunities, down to life advantages, then turned into disadvantages, resources being dumped at the most inopportune time. But at the end of it, it was Q9 standing above everybody else with the last offensive required. All off of that last second death machine was absolutely heroic.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a testament to Elevate if they're able to bounce back in their performance against Q9, because we saw just how dominant they were. But for everybody at home, before we start breaking down this final matchup, let's take a look back at our graffiti wall, because we have Shift standing by with the final bracket update.
back at the graffiti wall. We have only 2 left. Damn, that was fun. We've got ourselves the full bracket by Frenic here. He's going to fill everything out. Stalwart Esports, of course, joining us here late. What the heck have you been doing today? Gone, done, out. 6 maps have only been played today. We're going to get at least 3 more, maybe more than that, hopefully more than that, as our grand finals is now set. A rematch of 2024's World Championships. Q9 looking to get out of that second place position, which has plagued them for years. Feels like at this point, whereas Elevate looking to make it back to a grand final and go back to back. It's been an arduous path for both these 2 teams. It's only appropriate that our last 2 stand tall on this championship Sunday. You got them here at the top and right in the middle. Elevate and Chungju Club. Last 2 left. Only 1 more name to cross off. I'm ready to do that. Let's see who it is. Back to the desk.
You know, I'm actually glad that I've got Chris and Brody up here to see that graffiti wall, because there are hearts. And we talked about this on day 1. We will never stop the sportsmanship in the Call of Duty Mobile community.
Even after that game there towards the end, you got Elevate and Stalwart. They've been going against each other all year, back and forth throughout Garena, into a losers final. A chance, and they're all just like, oh yeah, nice time. No, be hateful, be hateful. No, look, it is nice. No, it is nice to see that aspect of things though, because you so often see it in esports, and you kind of want that rivalry, but there's a lot of respect from everybody here, and it is a nice thing to see.
Absolutely. And just for a reminder, everybody at home, you'll see it here in this bracket, because Q9 did come out of that upper bracket. They do have that 1 map advantage. It's something that you were talking about earlier, Andy, and that could be a big deal.
It could be a big deal, but you know, also is a big deal, speaking of all the hearts, is the extra strings like Alan was talking about, pulling on all of our hearts, because now it's not just for Elevate to potentially go back-to-back against Q9 in Grand Finals. They're also playing for Rise, who was unfortunately unable to attend this event. After Elevate knocked Wolves down to the lower bracket, they're playing with that extra special sauce to try to nullify that 1-0 lead that Q9 are walking into this Grand Finals with.
Now, Brody, let's start diving into this back and forth analysis, because we now have the 2 best teams in the world. We watched some face-off before, but this is a whole different beast. We're now in Grand Finals. People are warmed up. Guns are warmed up. They've seen what each other can bring to the table, and it all boils down to this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? This is 2 of the best teams in the world, firing on all cylinders. And we've been talking about this, right? I think generally speaking, when you look at teams, you kind of talk about, all right, you know, you like to talk about PJ, you like to talk about Oling, players that are always performing. No, everybody on that stage is performing. We've even had chats about, all right, cool, if, you know, X team wins MVP or X team wins the event, who's going to be the MVP? Because absolutely everybody has been firing on all cylinders. And I think that is especially true for Q9. Everybody was shooting in that upper bracket final. I just don't know how you split the difference between these 2 teams at the moment.
Yeah, Chris, I want to get your thoughts a little bit on Elevate and what they can bring to the table here.
I mean, it has to be more than what we've seen in the winners bracket final, right? But albeit, look, it was a couple of close moments here and there, but we've seen them then just have that good moment in the losers final. I think that is going to make a little bit of a difference for them. They absolutely swept through Stalwart, and I think that's really important as well. If you want to bounce back in that grand final, your winners and losers finals on the same day, you need that momentum to bring you in. It couldn't have went better for them heading into this grand final on that aspect.
But now Q9 also have that additional information, right? Proper, you know, how beneficial is that for them?
I mean, it's just more to prepare on. It's just more to understand, because when you're going in towards this best of 7, you're going to end up having a lot more maps at your disposal for Q9, of which you've already had the opportunity to dismantle them on. You don't have any more opportunities to be able to take their better maps away from you. You only are able to take away a single hard point. So it's just about almost, I wouldn't say solely relying on your mechanical skill, but you saw a lot of those heroics later on in the lower finals and the upper finals versus both Q9 and STE respectfully. If you can somehow find that in a consistent form going in towards this, it's going to catch Q9 off guard.
Now, I know you were talking about individuals on Q9, Brody, but talk to me about Elevate as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Elevate have just been on fire this weekend again. I think it is worth saying, I think PJ is still the standout somewhat, but I mean, even, you know, back at the start of yesterday, I think it was, I was like, you know what, Yoppie's kind of playing out of his mind right now. He's playing extremely well. I think the SMG just backline in general for this team are phenomenal at the moment. And again, PJ does get so much love, but I think when you do have your SMGs firing on all cylinders in the way that they are is crucial. Now, the big thing for me, though, coming into this grand final is going to be the sniper rifle players. I think that really has been the difference maker for Elevate so far. Susano and Kendi are phenomenal players, and when they're getting those first bloods, I think specifically in Search and Destroy, they can absolutely beat Q9 as they have already done. But still, I think looking over towards those sniper rifle players, if they can get that consistency going, they will be perfectly fine, but everybody needs to be shooting.
Well, we'll have to see if they're ready to do that. For now, I know that they're at least ready to get themselves out on this main stage. So, Ian, let's kick off our grand finals.
The air up here feels different. The weight of a grand final fills the air, and you can feel it. It is palpable. An opportunity. Both of these two teams have opened a window for themselves. That window, before they know it, will be closed. And one of them will be at Krakow Airport checking in their bags as losers. The other, crowned champions. The Call of Duty Mobile World Championship Grand Final for 2025 is here, and it's a rematch of last year. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to bring our final illustrious two teams out onto the stage, starting with Q9. Qingzhou, silver medalists last year, determined to get the job done this time around. Mauchi, DC, Oling, Curly, Cloud, and their coach Shine are ready for business. Their opponents, of course, it's Elevate. Looking to make history. Back-to-back championships lies in front of them. The question is, can they seize the opportunity? Kendi, Susanoo, Chloe, PJ, Yopi, and coach Alea are ready to get into the server. Whew. We've already
versus Elevate in our grand finals. Give me a little bit of your opinion here so far, a deep dive on this, Proper.
Oh, I'm much happier seeing the maps vetoes, I'll tell you that much. We'll get to that one in just a few moments' time. But I mean, the way that they walked out this time for Elevate, you got the whole swagger walk from Susanoo in the upper finals. They got humbled real fast as far as that opening best of 5 is concerned. And then they were able to find their confidence once again in the lower finals. Is that going to be enough to deal with the raw power that is Mauchi and Uling? I've yet to see otherwise, but I'd love to be proven wrong.
I see an unhappy Brody right now. We're getting those picks and bans up in here for everybody at home to see, and Brody does not look pleased.
Yeah, I mean, Proper already kind of said it right. He's not happy for a reason either. Allowing Summit into the map set, I think, is a cataclysmic error for Elevate in this upper bracket final. I mean, you already said why, mate. I mean, just do not play Chinese teams on Summit. It is a phenomenal map for them. And albeit, you know, they almost lost that game, still it was a phenomenal. It was like a 14-point hardpoint, something to that effect, and Summits are always closed. Still, Q9 are so consistently able to clutch up on that map that does feel like a weird one. I think the way that they played this, though, Hacienda, Tunisia bans coming out from Q9, just box standard, getting rid of the best map for Elevate.
Any saving graces you could see here, Ton?
I mean, potentially the search and destroys for Elevate to try and get a route back in, but it's always going to be difficult up against Q9. We've seen it already. There were some close moments here and there, and we have seen Q9 lose some search and destroys this weekend. They haven't been that indomitable beast that we really expect them to be. They have had chinks in their armor. That could be something to potentially looking towards, but based on what we see in the first series, they're really going to have to step it up.
I feel like, you know, you also seem a little bit underwhelmed right now, Proper, at least with what we've got here for the choices.
I mean, look, when you lose that upper final, you lose any sort of opportunity to try to sway this best of 7 in your favor. So Takeoff is gone. Crossfire is still there. And although you might see some semblance of heroics, you still have to try to get to the map 5 in the first place. You're already starting this 0-1 down. You at least get your Apocalypse, and you can almost guarantee that that Coastal is probably still going to go Q9's way, unless we see any other adjustments possible. But I just am really struggling here, Glitter, to see any sort of road for Elevate to be able to win this. It would have to be absolutely Herculean.
And you know, that was something I think a lot of people were concerned about after watching that performance out of the upper bracket. It was a very decisive 3-0, and having to bounce back after having to then play through the lower bracket, come back into the same situation with, in Elevate's case, a map disadvantage. I mean, everything's stacked against them, and they now have to kind of fight through the mud to even get themselves back on equal footing with a team like Q9, as everybody at home can see that reflected down there at the bottom of your screen. I think that this is going to be one of the hardest fought battles, Ton, that we will see all year long.
I think it was one of those finals that we wanted to see again, because Q9 definitely would have wanted another swing, especially the caliber team that they are coming into this, going up against Elevate. You're at least definitely not going to lose 4-0 this time. You have that map advantage. So
optimism.
Yeah, well, you know, every cloud and all that. But I mean, I think they'd definitely be looking for the win, especially after what we see in that winners bracket final. It's so good to see these two teams go at it again, though. They have undoubtedly been the best teams. I mean, look, I think a lot of people sometimes be like, oh, brackets this and brackets that, but both these two teams had to beat everybody to get here. They've got the job done. Our best two teams are in the grand final, and that's all we wanted.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think for me at least, right, Elevate do have something in their favor at the very least. They've always kind of got that advantage of coming straight from a quick 3-0 in the lower bracket final against their compadres from Garena. So I think 100% you have some momentum in your favor. And I think the other thing as well here is the fact that that upper bracket final, it wasn't exactly the cleanest of 3-0 sweeps, right? Again, it was a 14-point hard point. You had to go to round 5 for the control. The Search and Destroy, even that being a 7-3, I think even that is just like, it comes down to a lot of 1v1s that you lost. You know, Q9 just kind of hunting you down later in the rounds, and I'm sure we'll have a deeper conversation about that later on when we do get to the Search and Destroy, especially, again, on Coastal. But still, I really do not think Q9 was so far ahead of Elevate that it's insurmountable.
I just don't really agree with that. I mean, by score, yeah, it was not close, but by so many different moments in time, like, they were just hesitating, like deer in headlight situations for Elevate. That's not what you expect from a 2024 world champion MVP of PJ. Rectify that in the lower finals, but now you have to somehow remember that going in towards this series, because they had a plan going in towards it, and Q9 smacked them in the mouth. And you know what happens when you got a plan and get smacked in the mouth, Brody? Well, you completely fall on your butt.
Yeah, listen, look, it's minor things, ultimately. You know, we talked about that Search and Destroy, and I talked about Susano and Kendi being really the key power players for Elevate. And it's minor things like that. Like, if you're drawing the first bloods, like, the things are going to go in your favor. Honestly, I think if things were cataclysmically wrong for Elevate, they would probably have not lost by 14 points in a 3-2 round 5 control. Like, and I feel like those are pretty close games.
And spicy. I love this. No, this is great, because it really does come down to those minute details. When you're at this level of the competition, you have to be paying attention to every small slip up, every single time they pretty much do anything. You know, how was the operator usage? Was everything timed well? Is it what you're looking for out of a championship squad? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to find out who will be crowned the Call of Duty Mobile World Championship. Let's get into it.
Apocalypse Hardpoint is what we start on, and these two titans going up against each other for the biggest prize, the crown of the Call of Duty Mobile World. And when you look at them, Brody, this is kind of what we expected. We thought Q9 could make that run, elevate the defending champions. Can they do it again? Or can Q9 get their revenge for last year? Into Apocalypse we go. Let's get it on, I think Alan says.
Yeah, I don't think we say it with such spice as Shift does. But yeah, for sure, this is a crucial matchup here. I think for Elevate, again, really looking to continue that momentum from what happened in the lower bracket final. If you can come out here with a map #1 victory over Q9, really set the pace and get Q9's attention early on in this series, well, you got your foot through the door. That's the start you want.
And I think something I just want to allude to as well, what we've seen in that loser bracket final, convincing win for Elevate, comfortable across the maps, apart from map #1, which was a single point. It would have been nice to get that on the board, but Q9 are going to come in here with the same fire we've seen in that winners bracket final. Killfeed's starting to look a little bit better for the Chinese team, and they've got those rotations over towards P2. We're going there in 20.
Yeah, and I think the thing at the moment for me is Q9 aren't really doing all that much or really being stressed by Elevate in terms of that rotation, right? And they're not really sending anybody through that letterbox side. All of this pressure is going through P1. Of course, the flip side to that, Ton, is that ultimately Elevate have managed to get 10 to 15 seconds time they otherwise wouldn't. Curly's almost immediately going to clear space through the middle of the map, and that's going to send Elevate right to try and break P2.
Yeah, that's going to put you in a bit of an awkward position. The push through cave is going to come through almost immediately. Chloe's going to be here to try and find that break, but it's going to have to be one-dimensional from Elevate. They haven't been able to make any inroads on these spawns. Tempest out from Curly already. Thankfully, from some of his really good work through the middle of the map. Few kills go Elevate's way, but it doesn't matter if Curly is just going to light 5 of you up. Tempest play on point, Q9 in control.
Yeah, just Curly making plays like that have really made the difference for Q9 again. Goes back to that conversation we had previously, really in the green room. Everybody has been firing on all cylinders for Q9, but the other thing that they do so well, Ton, beyond just individual performances, is they really know when to stack back all of their utility in towards a hard point. They know the value of an early advantage, but unfortunately, when that doesn't work out, you lose a wave of gunfights, well, Elevate can break you.
A lot invested here by Q9. I think we've seen nearly every single streak trying to make a difference, but Elevate barge their way through the front door. Olin can find one. Eventually trying to find a way back through. Those close spawns will help them to do so pretty quickly, and they will stop the bleeding. But I think for Elevate, that's a minor win, to be honest with you. Not in a good position, lots of streaks against you. You stop Q9 from getting every single second of P2.
Yeah, 100% right. I mean, you force utility out early on. I think the idea for Q9 there is to gain a massive dent into Elevate, right? The snowball that we always talk about. A 70-point lead early on would have been humongous, but no, now that's just down to 25 or so, and Elevate, they have a good look at the next hill.
Q9 are going to break from this side, though. We've seen it time and time again. A lot of operators coming in though from the Elevate side, and Klo right now with the equalizers out, starting to farm them up to spawn. He'll flip them around for Elevate, and it was a little bit worrying, to be honest with you, after seeing P1 and 2, seeing how Q9 are setting up, seeing the streaks come in, but Klo is just easing those worries a little bit. Susano can come in and plenty being thrown over towards Q9. Elevate investing a lot, but they're getting a lot back for it.
Yeah, I just think the subs right now are firing on all cylinders for Elevate, right? Klo in particular, I think 12 kills to his name at this point in time, firing through the middle of the map. He'll finally get shut out off the back of a streak, so Elevate now potentially open the door with 20 seconds left on this hard point, but Q9 feels a little bit individual. Mauchi on the trade as well, Yoppy for a couple of kills here. Time Elevate, they are holding this hard point. This is a notoriously difficult hill to hold.
And they managed to actually lose the spawns, though. Q9 have managed to get a flip there. I know they're not necessarily that sticky, so the rotation over towards next is going to look a little bit better for our Chinese team. But the scoreline for Elevate, about a 20-second lead as we head over now towards P4. Spawns out actually for Elevate over towards the cave side. They're going to have to look at a couple of different directions if you're Q9. They could do with this time, though, because the bleeding is starting to get a little heavier. Yoppy can find a kill to find a way through. And is that going to be the catalyst for Elevate to find their break? Not quite. Q9 have found a way through, but Klo will get taken down, and it's seemingly going to be Q9 in control.
And the problem for Elevate there is, despite some heroical kills coming through from the likes of Yoppy, Elevate just spawning all the way out on towards Temple side. Q9 got those close letterbox spawns, and now they're able to invest in towards this hard point. This is notoriously difficult to break, especially when Uling is staring you down with the equals.
It's had a quiet game by his standards. Looking to try and step things up here for the team, but everybody is trying to do their jobs. He'll find one on the outside, can't quite get through Chicken Coop. It will be shut down by Oling and trying to find a little bit more as well. But PJ and Susano doing well. 15 seconds to play full Cloud. Just trying to play as sneaky as he can. But it's been back and forth on this hill, but it's been mostly Q9. Elevate trying to find a way through. 10 seconds to go. That's going to be the end of the first rotation, and there is very, very little in this game.
Yeah, 100%. Elevate now just trying to effectively contest things to make things even, but really we're splitting hairs, right? With a 3-point difference between the two teams. Yeah, this has been a phenomenally close game, incredibly back and forth. Both teams have been able to steal time away from the other on crucial hard points. And now we do go into that second set. Q9 last time around, they were very good at holding that P2 set, but Yoppy wants to break it with the Sparrow.
Managed to find 4 there. Really good job from the side of Elevate to start getting some time. And honestly, I think if I'm happier of the two teams out of the previous rotation of hills, I was probably going to be the side of Elevate. They were the ones who managed to bring it back after not a great P2, and they're starting to put the pressure over towards P2 now. Elevate trying to find a breakthrough. If you're DJ, you've got to find plenty. Mauchi is going to be there alongside of him. 3 big kills coming on through. Elevate getting time. Q9 still in control of the spot.
Yeah, the idea at the moment here for Elevate is to try and make as much distraction as possible through the middle map, of course. You know, you need to draw attention towards the middle of the hard point, and if you can soak time, that's great. You are trying to get players through letterbox to those P2 spawns. They've done it a couple of times already, but they can't get these kills around the back.
Well, it's going to find one over towards the backside, and that's the equalizers invested for absolutely everything you want over towards P2. Elevate take the lead. Elevate have the spawns. Q9 are going to have to find a way through. I felt like Nightmare Fuel watching Elevate trying to find their breaks coming through cave. Eventually, they find a way through. Are Q9 going to be able to do the same?
And it's so difficult to break. You can do it in a couple of different directions. You can try and flip those temple spawns out. Of course, you can brute force through the front. There isn't that many operators to do so, though. D-Chen, the only one right now for Q9, but there's the kills coming through, and there's the spawn flip.
It's going to come in on the other side as well. Kendi, he can find at least a little bit here with the War Machine. Was just trying to keep them at bay, but it's going to come in on the other side now as well. So Q9 have the opportunity to try and find a way through. 3 kills going to come through from Mauchi. Cloud will find 2 of his own, and that should be the break. Elevate going to start spawning out, but they'll be here pretty quickly, trying to find a way through cave, but the break is in. Q9 in control.
Cloud has just been that guy, of course. Q9's latest re-addition of the roster, we should say. He's been pivotal to so many different moments. That Death Machine, though, from Mauchi probably could have been a tad better. Nonetheless, Elevate, trying to get in towards the hard point, but Q9 at the moment, they are just burning through them.
I'm trying to find a way through both these two teams. Not quite. as strong at the hold as we would like to see. If you the ones that get that rotation over, you love to see a good 60 come through, but both these two teams have found a way to find a break. Move over towards P3. Last time around, this was just a brilliant hill for Elevate. Not only did they bring themselves back into the game, they brought themselves into the lead. But this time around, it's going to be Q9, the ones initially in control, as the hill will start to pop. The Tempest is out, but you get done by the Sparrow. Yoppie will find 2, Yoppie will find 3, and that's going to be the break for Elevate and some time on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one-for-one trade, right? You take a massive operator like the Tempest out of play with your own, and that is everything. So Elevate starting to get a little bit better now on the one-for-ones with the operators. They have control of the hardpoint, an opportunity here to really start to gain an advantage in this game.
And straight away after that, we say Uling just completely lose the equalizers, finds very, very little. His team drop around him, he tries to make the play. It does not work. I think I'm going to go back to something you said earlier on. It feels a little one-by-one from Q9 right now. It feels like they're trying to do everything they can. They need to work as a team. Elevate in control and doing just that. 20 seconds remaining here, over towards P3. The push is going to come through here from Q9. They will not find a way through. Elevate starting to run away with this game.
And now Yoppie has that EMP, so as Q9 start to cycle into their operators, that is going to be an issue. They're going to have to get it done with their gunnies. Something Q9 have been so good at is just basically dumping operators into a hard point, maybe 3 at a time, and gaining a full 60 off the back of it. They can't do that anymore while that EMP's in play.
They'll run out by the time we do get over towards P4 in a few seconds at least. Anyway, the gunfire was coming through from the side of Q9, but they have nothing else to help them. Yoppie will find the break. Elevate seem to have found a different gear from what we've seen last time around, but the kill's starting to fly over towards the side of Q9. They'll find a way through. Elevate not far away.
Oh, that Elevate thought they cleared the hard point, but no, Cloud stay back in towards the back side. Then he's able to whip out War Machine almost immediately to start raining Hellfire down upon Elevate. Now it's Q9 back into the hill.
DGen will find 2 on the outside. How on earth have Q9 managed to find that? Cloud gets a way through. Susanna will find 1 with the War Machine, spraying through the smoke, not finding a great deal. And DGen, he'll find him, but the nade over the top from Yoppie. That's very, very solid, as is the gunny. 2, 3 he'll find, but everybody sending everything in the kitchen table at this one. Q9 spawn out, Elevate spawn in. It's still 50-50.
Yeah, that's a great Sparrow, of course. Yoppie getting a bit of a wayward spawn there. Elevate spawning on the other side, meaning that Q9 weren't really looking for him, and he will convert for some serious value off the back of that Sparrow. But as we get into the 3rd and final set of this game, Ton, it really does feel like that P3 from Elevate, where they're able to get a ton of time, that has really made the difference. They currently have a substantial advantage, and they've proven they can break those spawns for P2.
The door's being blown wide open. Q9 this time around need to hold P2 just that little bit better. They're starting to lose a couple of gunfights though over towards P1. 45 seconds or so remaining here. Elevate can just about win it at P1. They'll do well to do so though. Q9 finding their way through. These spawns still a little bit flipped, but Elevate will start to get them over towards the backside, but still 40 seconds on P1.
One player being a nuisance, of course, Sid Suling behind enemy lines. They weren't checking for him. Now he is actually going to go back for P1 here, I think, realizing the importance of the 30 seconds of time instead of the importance of the spawn flip. At this point in the game, you have to close that lead.
I mean, if you go away from the first rotation, you have operators that try and help you find that break. They managed to use them very efficiently last time to do so, and they're efficiently getting time over towards P1. Elevate will find a way through, but Q9 have got the spawns. 14 seconds to go. DGen, he'll find 2, and all of a sudden Mauchi, can he pick up the pieces? Not quite. He will fall. It is fast and frantic to kick off our grand finals of map number 1, and it's getting closer as time goes on. Elevate's still in the lead, but the rotation belongs to Q9.
Q9 in control of P2, a big hard point. Investing now are going to be Elevate. This War Machine could be huge. Finds a couple.
And he managed to find a way through. PJ will be the linchpin that just helps him out as well. Spawns are still over towards the backside. So now if you're Q9, you've got a slight pinch potentially on the cards. You can see 1 kill comes through on the other side. Can everybody else from Q9 start to find a way through? Seemingly not. Elevate in control there, 25 away.
Oh, PJ is here towards the back line. Hunter Killer Drone will go out towards the air. Elevate, they are just 20 seconds away, but the split spawns from Q9. That might disrupt things.
15 seconds or so now. If you're Q9, you got to get going. 30 seconds still to play for here. They will find that break, and this will be valuable time. They're not going to be too far away if they can hold on to the rest of it, and that's what they want to do. Pushing forward is Curly, who can find plenty, but the utility from Elevate is so good. Q9 still in control. Doesn't look like Elevate might be able to find a break, but so much investment having to come through from Q9. Elevate will find a way through. 10 seconds to play for. They can't win it here, but they will be in touching distance by the time we get over towards P3.
Yeah, and Q9 had to set a couple of bodies at that hard point, right? You can't really afford to just give up that time, but Close immediately going to invest the equals in towards this rotation. Players already down. Elevate looking for the final few.
And they managed to find a way through. Inside of the point they go. It pops in 2 seconds. They're finding the gunfights. Kendi finding everybody. Elevate finding map number 1. And the advantage is gone.
is what they needed. Getting swept up in the upper bracket final. You win your lower bracket final in the exact same fashion. Even more dominant fashion, you might say. You needed to start this one strong, and that is, well, just the ticket, isn't it? Phenomenal hard point, really, from Elevate. So many crucial rotations were able to steal away. And even that one towards the end, just teamwork, absolutely on point. Man, what a phenomenal map from them. But it was pretty close, I think, pretty much always throughout that game. A very 50-50 affair. But really, I think the turning point for me, Tom, was when we got to P3 on that second set. We started to see Elevate gain a full 60. Then they were disruptive towards the next hard point as well. I think it was Yoppie that came out with like the Sparrow that got 3 kills. Completely made things tumultuous here for Q9. And it never really felt like they were able to call back into the game.
It definitely felt as if when casting it, that Elevate had their moments a little more so with the operators. We didn't see typically that very efficient play from Q9 that we're so used to seeing. I mean, Ling, multiple times we've seen him pull the equalizers out, find very, very little. And that is not like him. It's not that they rely on him doing that, but we know how good Q9 can be with these operators. All these top teams are. But then that's the problem. If Elevate are bringing their A game, if they are being efficient with their operators, if you're not doing the same, you lose the game. Elevate will take the first map of this grand final. Q9, of course, did have that advantage, but as mentioned, that has disappeared.
Yeah, Yoppie, of course, the guy that I gave a shout out to. I know a lot of will go PJ's way, but Yoppie, 48 kills for him. Again, that Sparrow play might well have changed the tides for Elevate. And again, I kind of mentioned it in the middle of the game, right, Tom, but something that Q9 do extraordinarily well is the fact that they're just kind of able to kind of triple down on operators at any given time and completely change the way that a single hardpoint is going to go. I never really felt like Elevate were kind of letting them do that apart from maybe the early game in that moment. And even then, I think it was the P2, right, where we were talking about Q9 investing, what was it, like 3 streaks pretty much right out the gate to get under control. Elevate didn't let them have that.
I mean, I looked in the top left corner, and obviously that's where you get your information of when all the streaks are coming in. It was like Hunter, Killer Drone, Predator, Missile. Everybody was bringing it. I mean, the artillery was in. And they couldn't stop them finding the break. And I wonder if that is one of those moments where you're like, oh yeah, okay, grand finals, look what we did to them in the winners bracket. We're starting to storm through. A little bit overzealous from Q9, and ultimately they do get punished. And you know what, I liked PJ started giving it to them straight away in this grand final. Get in their heads. That's what they'll be looking to do. And I think they will be in their heads now, especially if that 1-0 win, that win there in the 1-0 advantage just gone. Finding that Apocalypse is going to give Elevate a significant amount of confidence. So just one thing I did want to touch on there, though, and again, I try not to lean into the kills, etc. It's far too much, but Ling over towards the bottom side, the very bottom of his team. That has not happened all weekend long. As far as I can remember, at least anyway, he has been that guy. And if he's not performing at that top level in this grand final, that is a bonus for Elevate.
No, listen, I'll say this much, and this isn't me necessarily defending Oling for that performances, but I will say Apocalypse, not generally speaking, an AR heaven map, is it?
True.
So not really built for him. Coastal, maybe they will have more of a chance. Of course, this is another map that we saw back in that upper bracket final, and this is the only one of the 3 that Q9 were able to take convincingly. And even then, I mentioned it very briefly in the pre-match segment, Ton. It did really feel like kind of small, minute changes to the gameplay style for Elevate, and things will change. I think notably here, Susano and Kendi have been crucial to the success of Search and Destroy for Elevate. If they can start getting those snipes a little bit earlier on in the grounds, they will be perfectly fine.
Q9 on the attacking side to kick things off, and D-Chen will find Kendi almost immediately. EMP! So now Q9 have that number advantage. And what are they going to do with it? Well, run with it. In towards B they go. Do they know that Yoppie's here? Yes, they do. But can they do anything about it? If they can find a second, it'll be massive. Yoppie goes huge. Can he find a third? Can he hold it down on his own? D-Chen will have to back down. But he's given his team time to get over. He will eventually fall on his sword. But damage done. 3v2 for Q9.
Oh boy, and it gets worse as well, doesn't it? What looks so positive by way of Yoppie in this round has fallen very much apart. Now Susano, in behind enemy lines, has to penetrate a site that is so difficult to do so. If anybody can do it, it's him, but he's already made his position known.
Watch out!
Needed to catch somebody off guard and then somehow find another. But still very difficult. 1 versus 3, it's not possible. Never mind. You come around the corner and kind of counteracts that idea. but the win will come through. Yoppie did really well, but the rest of Elevate find themselves coming over, and Q9 are well aware. They're set up already and waiting for them.
Yeah, I think at least one player there in that situation kind of got caught out in the middle of the map on the rotation, and the others, I think one was taking a really long time. I think it was Sudana, the last one out alive. And then, of course, towards the backline as well. Elevate just did not get that fast enough to help out Yoppie. So, despite the heroic play, did not go their way. In this round, though, what I wanted to see happen has already done so. Sudana with the first blood, but it's already been neutered.
Yeah, they've put a lot of pressure in over towards this A side. Ling, he can find one, but Kendy will take him down, but everything's starting to get traded around the corner. Curly will be the one to fall, sorry. Ling continues to survive. Munchie just nowhere near where Elevate may well think, and you just don't expect PJ to be there either. Reads him like a buck, and all of a sudden Ling is left now in a 1 versus 2.
That's got to be the sprint or something. Mauchi to be heard in that situation. Newling's only real choice here is the fact that you can get that bomb down. If you can bring this down to a 1 versus 1, that would be huge as well, but they're coming from different angles.
Reads one. But there's the bait. Is it going to be the switch? Yes, it is. PJ finds a few in that round and evens the odds almost immediately for Elevate. Nice round from them. They find the first blood that time and then find the round on the back of it.
Yeah. Big kill from PJ as well to take Mauchi out in that moment. That would have been a disastrous position if PJ would have gone down. Elevate able to hold the 2v1. Now, this round, first blood, big again. This time, it's Mauchi who's going to win it. And that's a big play to take on the board, because now you have less coverage inside the B site. It's going to force PJ to play a little bit more defensively over towards B instead of towards the middle of the map.
Can you find a pick through the middle of the map, though? That's what you're going to be asking if you can be. Backs down, but here come Q9 straight through the middle of the map. Claw will find Curly. They keep getting aggressive and Elevate. They're ready and waiting for it. Cloud was able to find Kendi. 4 versus 3. As Q9 still make their way over towards B. They do actually have control of that site if they wish, but Elevate are not far away. It might be just a bit of a war of attrition here. As you know, it's a little bit more difficult to defend from the mid side, but they're kind of setting themselves up well. Susano, though, will catch Cloud on the cross, and that makes planting this bomb just a little more difficult.
If you could get inside the bar, that would be everything here. Bomb's going down, so you're not going to stop it through the wallbang, but if you can get inside the bar, you can wallbang the back of the site. That's what you want first.
Do they have the read on where really the first line of defense is? That's going to be Ling. Susano. Charles over towards that side and baits him in. Mauchi will take him down. And I think they got the call. PJ is back there as well. No need to challenge. Ling will hold down mid doors. And all of a sudden, PJ is left now in a 1 versus 3 impossible situation. Q9, 2-1.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised there that Susano swung so wide with actually checking for a potential player like Mauchi in that situation. But yeah, I mean, really that kind of all falls apart by way of the fact that Yoppie fell almost immediately, right? You take a player out of the B site like that, it forces PJ to play close to the B site instead of in the middle of the map. Domino effect, Kendi has to play close to the middle of the map and makes himself exposed. A House of Cards all comes down. Q9, big round for them. This is aggressive from them. This is something we've seen a lot of.
Once again, can they manage to find this open and break? But Kendi is going to be the one this time. That was over towards the B side, though, so they've given a little bit of control over towards A, but the reinforcements are on their way. D-Channel trying to find a pick, and if you're Q9, do you reevaluate this push?
Yeah, I mean, there's already a lot of Elevate forces over here, right? So it's just like, why would you even bother at this point? You are going to leave one player to try and keep something going in this situation. Maybe catch any players that are trying to do anything cheeky, but in the middle of the map, that is a beautiful reposition coming up from Kendi, because now not only do you find a frag, you have the information that they, at the very least, trying to make their way over towards B.
How much information was gained, though? Do they know that D-Chen is here? No, they don't. Cole will get taken down. Lines it up perfectly. And now all of a sudden, if you're Elevate, are you scrambling a little bit? Shots being fired across the board. If you... Oh my god, he nearly collapsed them. D-Chen's going to get away. And here comes Curly. This is all on D-Chen. He's broken A open, all on his own.
Their battle stations. They've picked their lines of sight.
They'll be hearing them.
And they will be hearing them.
And it goes out to try and slow things down on the push up the stairs, but that's not where they're coming from. Ling did see the push on the other side, but is he going to wait for the other player to find a way through? He doesn't need to peek it, but he will, and Yoppie will be dealt with. Kendi will find one. Does the trade find its way? Curly gets it 3-1 to Q9. And that's a round. It doesn't feel like they should have won, but D-Chen finds it with a little bit of a route, finds the pick, finds a second, opens up the bomb site.
Yeah, that's just one of those right there where you just turn the attention of basically the entire team off the back of one kill. That's the nature of fast-paced Call of Duty Mobile, folks. D-Chen wins the round effectively for Q9. It's once again an aggressive push in towards A. I wonder how much information you've got here if you're a Clo. You die, but I think now you have that info, and that is a real unfortunate one, son.
Yeah, PJ trying to find the flank, and they actually just got super aggressive over towards the A side as soon as they seen Clo. He was marked for death. And Q9 will find a 5 versus 3 in their favor now, looking really good on this attacking side. As mentioned, these two did play up against each other on this match, specifically in the winners final. It was a 7-3 scoreline for Q9. We're heading in that direction once more. Pushing over towards B. Starting to formulate. T-Chen just having a little bit of a shoulder throw. Yoppie will find Oling though. 4 versus 3, making it doable, very doable. 3 versus 3. Susanna will find 1. Bomb will just about find its way down though. And Q9 will invite Elevate to try and come and defuse it.
And that is that spot right there, right? You can shoot through the shelves, get a player off the back of the bomb, but now it is a 3 versus 3. They know at the very least that there won't be a player towards that exact spot because there's no way they try that.
Who's the tip of the spear? Who will find the penetration? It's going to be Yoppie that finds a way through. Susanna will find 1 on the Curly, but it's going to be turned around. Q9, can they get it done? Susanna left in a 1 versus 1 against Mao-Chi. Misses the shots, 15 seconds. Mao-Chi with the reach, Al. And Q9 in a commanding position at the 5. A stressful round for both these two teams, but it's Q9 who come out on top.
Susanna thought that maybe Mao-Chi was weak enough that he would not shell that in that situation. Maybe he'd go back for a regen. He had 15 seconds on the clock, so both players had time to play with. But no, Mao-Chi calls his bluff. 4-1 now. Util through the middle of the map early on in towards this round. Not that much information really gained from either team. I think really the only information going up from either side at the moment is that Q9 here in this situation are looking for it.
Well, Susanna's been tagged up the nose here. If you can find anything out of this, it is a huge, huge bonus, but he should be dead to rights, and is. Kendi will fall to Oling as well. And now all of a sudden, Q9 have a little bit of control over towards the side. They have plenty of bodies, and Elevate are on their way over to try and stop the inevitable happening. And this bomb's going to go down, and Q9 are in a commanding position to take a 5-1 lead at the half.
The bomb has been planted.
And Elevate, I mean, they're kind of reduced to juvenile tactics, right? You got to shoot through the wall with the PKM and try and get some freebies to get back into the site, because a 3v5, it's incredibly difficult to retake, and now you're starting to deal with some creative plays from Q9 as well. They got up the ante.
BJ trying to find a way through. Ellen will be the first point of contact around this corner. Who's going to fall? It's everybody on Elevate. It is a clean round. They'll find a 5-1 lead at the half. And 5 players on Q9 survived that round, and Elevate could do absolutely nothing to stop it. It's a wonderful attacking half out of the side of Q9. They move over towards the defensive side. What can Elevate produce?
I think Elevate has to do something creative. That's exactly what we get off the start.
Oh my god, and straight away we're just absolutely scrapping down the outside, and Q9 have blown them off the face of Coastal. Kendi left in his spawn all on his own. He's just thinking, where the hell have my team gone?
Oh, Kendi. This has to be spectacular. It might be. Oh, no. You thought for a second,
no,
maybe he can. Yeah, there's a microsecond in there for sure. But yeah, I mean, that is a phenomenal round from Q9, right? I think both teams, right, Elevate, they need something like that. They need something really aggressive off the start to get something going in this S&D. Q9 read that perfectly and make the exact counter call. And now they're just 1 round away from blowing this out in an indomitable fashion than the upper bracket final was.
Elevate trying to find some sort of lifeline in this search and destroy. PJ may well just give them one. Archie will fall. He's been just a right pain in the backside, hasn't he? 9 kills already to him. PJ will find another as well. He's doing fantastic work. Over towards this B side, and it's actually players from Q9 getting too aggressive over towards him. Keldick's going to get caught by Kendi as well. And Elevate have the whole of B under their control. This would be a very difficult round for Q9 to win, but Owling will find one at the cloak, makes it a 4 versus 2.
And that's what I love about Q9, right? They're so reactive. This is something that benefited them earlier in Coastal Search and Destroy in the upper bracket final. You know, you lose a couple of players. All right, cool, let's go on hunting, trying to take on a 2v1, even a 2 versus 2 to get something in our favor. Now there's a 2 versus 1 that at least makes this more manageable. Now the next task feels really gigantic, doesn't it? Because you have to penetrate the B site, all positions watched here by Elevate.
DJ just trying to throw some shoulders, just trying to gain some information. Elevate are giving them very, very little. Finds a way through. Susanna's going to be watching this cross. You need to find something. You need to find somebody napping. Dichen can find 2. Does get himself inside of the site, but 2 players left alive. It was always going to be difficult. The trades are there. 6-2 now. It's Elevate. Potentially make this a little more interesting. Be some comeback if they manage it here, Brody, but 6-2 down is not a scoreline you feel confident about.
There's that information off the start. Util through the middle of the map here. It's aggressive once again from Elevate. This is what they wanted to do earlier on. They just have to find the first bloods. And, well, they don't deal with the same kind of aggression from Q9 here.
Tundra is out here from Zuzano. Not expecting the push to come through. Oling can find 2. Kenny will find 1 back, though. 3 versus 3. Bomb going down. Can Mochi stop it? You dare lift your head. They're getting the rest of Q9. Actually, no, they're just not even waiting on Mochi. They're just sending it onto the site. And Oling puts the nail in the coffin of the search and destroy. And Q9 find themselves back in the lead.
I think that last round was just a perfect example of what has been going wrong Coastal Search and Destroy for Elevate. And you gotta imagine they'd have had a chat like, hey, listen, this is where Q9 beat us in the upper bracket final. This is what we need to change here in the grand finals if Coastal Search and Destroy makes it in again, which of course it does. And it doesn't really feel like they changed that much, if I'm being perfectly honest. You know, again, I mentioned that, I'm going to keep talking about it. It's never on 1 or 2 individual players. That's just not how this works, for sure. But when you're not winning your sniper battles the majority of the time, it's so difficult, and that is what makes Elevate special as a roster. They are such a well-rounded team, right? You have your SMG presence, you have sniper rifle players that can just shoot and win those first bloods more often than not, but you're going up against the best of the best. You're going up against the creme de la creme of Chinese Call of Duty Mobile. And it just feels like in that category, they do get outclassed.
It's brilliant work from Q9, though. It's just that attack inside, though. I mean, 5-1 off the back of that. Incredible work from Q9. And it was always going to be a tall order to see Elevate come back and match that. Well, maybe even go a step further. It was always going to be tough. But every single time that Q9 were working together, they were pushing together, it just felt as if it was inevitable they were going to find those kills. It was inevitable they were going to find a push. And Elevate just did not have the answer. Q9 absolutely cruising through Coastal and will find themselves in the lead once again.
And I think the thing that makes Q9 so special, right, is the fact that they do kind of have that pressure, that ability to kind of apply pressure in the way that they can with that kind of triple SMG setup. And I think that, you know, showed a lot on that map of Q9 just basically flying across the map pretty much constantly. They were constantly setting the pace and they were constantly getting up in Elevate's faces. Just a real nuisance that, well, Elevate did not know how to deal with. Shout out to Uling, by the way. We talked about him not having a great performance back in map number 1. 15 kills in that 1 ton. That's more like it.
Yeah, not bad. I just hold him to a very high standard, Brody, and I think everybody else does as well.
That's fair enough, to be honest, mate.
And it is very fair. And Guy, just all week long has been incredible. I mean, as well, I think especially speaking to him and seeing his demeanor, of course, I mean, through a translator, but at the same time, you know, just like trying to get an air of the kind of guy that he is, and it just seems like he's like a gentle giant, isn't he? He's such a nice kid, and then you see him start performing, and he's standing up staring at the opposition after he's just dropped 60 on their forehead. The guy's a killer.
I think my most vivid memory of Uling was after Q9 had won the Snapdragon Mobile Masters back in 2024, right? And one of the very first things that he did after winning a massive championship with a massive prize pool was he just started talking about the opposition. He's like, yeah, you know what, Lukashin's a phenomenal player. Just, you know, a massive respect for Lukashin. And just like, I think that is a perfect snapshot of his character. Not only is he good at Call of Duty Mobile, he's humble with it as well. But I don't know how long that would stay for, to be fair, when you get your first World Championship under your belt, because...
Yeah, we'll ask after.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe his entire demeanor changes. But Uling is a god for a reason. He is known as one of the best and most historic Call of Duty Mobile players of all time, and he does have a chance to get something that has eluded him his entire career, of course, that World Championship. In this series now, turn. Next up, we go to a Control. And just talking about the Control earlier on, I mean, it was a really close one, albeit that was on Crossfire. I believe we're going to Raid next, I think, is map number 3. And, you know, I think it just comes down to little clutch situations. I think Elevate, we're doing a really good job at trying to adapt, trying to get map